collect any very specific thoughts you might have on that. I have Johannes B. Next, if you want to.
Sí, muy buenos días y gracias por darme la palabra y un saludo muy fraterno desde Colombia. I am Johannes and I'm with the Global Forum of Communities Discriminated on Work and Dissent. I firstly would like to acknowledge the esteemed speakers, panelists, and also the Special Rapporteur on Minority Rights, and also thank the Tom Blatters Institute for organizing this event. My intervention will focus on communities discriminated on work and dissent and raise the question if the current instruments, including the Minority Rights Declaration and others, give sufficient protection and coverage to those communities. Communities discriminated on work and dissent experience oppression through discrimination, exclusion, and even violence by dominant groups based on perceived social hierarchies or caste-like structures based on descent or ancestral occupation. They're present all over in the Americas, in Africa, and in Europe, and the phenomenon of descent and work-based discrimination is common throughout, enforced through complex cultural beliefs and behavioral systems. In the Americas, they are known as quilombolas in Brazil, Palenque in Colombia, and Garífunas in Honduras, but also Roma, as we heard, are present all over the Americas. And they're united in kind of an experience of oppression through discrimination based on work and dissent. And resistance towards this oppression and towards forced labor is what unites them in some sense. And this was eloquently summarized by my dear colleague, Dr. Giovanni da Silva from CONAC in Brazil, who just published her recent paper titled Quilombos in Brazil and the Americas, Black Resistance in Historical Perspectives, which I'm happy to share if you approach me after the event. Also, particular attention must be given to violence towards women and girls of those communities, specifically sexual violence, gender violence, and enslavement and forced labor of women and girls has been known or is known to be one of the mechanisms to enforce the imposed social order of all communities discriminated on work and dissent. And I mean, speaking of minorities, the combined population of all communities discriminated on work and dissent would make up the 5th largest country on earth with 270 million people approximately. Now, within this context, I also would like to acknowledge that the Minority Rights Declaration has made provisions and is kind of strong. And specifically, the Special Rapporteur has also made in the year 2020 in his contribution, just to reference it, A/75/211 to the General Assembly, that specifically acknowledges that ethnic minorities, including individuals associated by descent, ancestry, and origin or lineage, are included in this declaration. However, the question really is or becomes if these provisions are sufficient, as has been raised by several academics, including Professor Corinne Lennox of the University of London, who has also questioned this, if this social dimension, this cultural dimension of dissent-based discrimination is really encompassed sufficiently in this declaration and can really give the instruments needed and also which is demanded by the community to address those concerns. Now, this is a really big question, and I don't think we can answer this in one panel or one discussion, but looking forward, I would like to suggest and invite everyone kind of to become partners for upcoming side events. And also, we have discussed this previously with several partners to potentially have a small working group on this specific topic to advance this issue and find possible solutions. I thank you.
Many thanks, Johannes. I think that also just highlights another really important angle to the questions that we're looking at in terms of how to make the framework as effective as possible. And I think also really highlights an intersectional importance to it, as I expect that a lot of the various identities overlap with what you're speaking about as well. As I don't see any other hands from participants at this time, what I'd like to do